creating value. There's nothing that gives me more excitement than coming up with an idea, bringing together resources and people and getting them excited about getting something done. The word entrepreneurship comes from a Latin root, meaning to elevate economic resources from an area of low yield to an area of high yield. Effectively, you're creating value where there was none before. To me, this looks like magic. I fell in love with doing this over the past year and a half. And I've applied it to an array of different projects, ranging from an iPhone app that gives you the ability to know when people around you are in danger, to a mini Faraday cage you can put in your pockets to block cell phone radiation from affecting your reproductive organs, to a transdermal delivery system that allows you to rub protein onto your muscles to give you more nutrition after a workout more quickly. In my talk today, I'm going to talk about 3 key aspects that I found make turning ideas into reality easier. Those are ideas, people, and resources. But before I start talking, I want to make an important point. That all the stuff in this talk don't only apply to people who want to start businesses or want to be entrepreneurs. This applies to anybody who wants to make an idea happen. So if you want to choreograph a dance and have your dance company perform it, if you want to come up with an idea for a play and want to recruit actors and have someone film it and have a place to do it, this applies to you. If you want to raise money and build a charity and build a kindergarten, this applies to you. So first, ideas. Oftentimes people say that they don't have a great idea, and therefore they're not going to do anything yet until they have that aha moment. But what people oftentimes overlook is that you can train yourself to come up with ideas. And oftentimes ideas are a numbers game. The first company that I started working on, and the one that I still work on the most, is called Board Brake. It's an attachable brake for longboards and skateboards. When I initially came up with this idea, I judged how much value I would get out of not having to rub my foot on the floor and fall off my longboard, compared to the amount of time and resources I would have to put in to building something like this. And it turned out that the time and resources I'd have to put in are much higher than the amount of value I create for myself. What I'd like to advocate is that when you come up with an idea for a potential venture, always judge it compared to that annoyance that you would solve to yourself, multiplied times the amount of people in the world who could benefit from this idea. So in the case of longboards, there are about 2 million longboards in the US sold each year. So this brake could help 2 million people. So if you multiply the amount of annoyance that I saved myself times that number, it makes the resources and time put into building that device negligible. The second rule that I want to emphasize is the idea of saying, this sucks, how can I fix it? So a couple of months ago, I went from Brown over to Boston. It was very cold. And so I was walking the train and I was thinking to myself, damn, it's cold. And so immediately, by autopilot, I thought, okay, how do I fix this? And so I spent the next 10 minutes sitting on the train thinking, okay, how do I solve this being cold thing? So I thought about making gloves out of a different material. I thought about how I could redesign a North Face jacket, or maybe how I could walk around in this preheated bubble. And after about 10 minutes, I realized that I have no knowledge or ability to improve this being cold thing. And then I got to Boston, walked to my destination, and on the way thought, damn, it's cold. And involuntarily again asked myself, okay, how do I solve this problem? And so I knew I couldn't solve it, but I spent 3 minutes thinking about it and then moved on. And then about 10 p.m. that night, I was walking back to the train station and I thought, damn, I'm cold. And so immediately I thought, okay, how do I fix this? And the point here is this. Whenever something annoys you, or whenever you see an opportunity, I want you to always think, okay, how can I fix this? And how can I make this better? And then multiply that amount that you fixed to yourself, the value that created for yourself, times all the people in the world who can be benefited from it. And by doing this, by automatically training yourself to think, how can I fix this every time that there's a problem, you end up with way more ideas. And some of them might be really stupid, like walking around in a preheated bubble. But some of them can be much better. The other thing I want to talk about with regards to ideas is sharing your ideas with other people. Oftentimes people think, I have this great idea, I shouldn't tell anybody about it, I should build it and then show it to the world. This oftentimes is difficult to do, because when you have really big ideas, you can't do it by yourself. Unless you come up with a compound that can solve cancer and you know how to build it, in that case, run to the USPTO and get a patent immediately. But unless that's the case, talk to other people. First of all, other people don't have the time to try and steal your ideas usually. They have a job, they have hobbies, they have friends, and if they have time, they'll work on their own ideas, not yours. That's not what they're passionate about. That's what you're passionate about. And secondly, They can introduce you to other people who are really competent and skilled at your idea or at building your idea. In addition, they can give you a perspective that you don't have. Especially people who go to school with you, they lived lives that you didn't, and therefore they know the world differently and can give you really, really great advice. The second one is people. Again, if you have a big idea, you can't do it alone. When I started working on Board Break, I had absolutely zero knowledge of mechanical engineering. And so what I did is I went down to the engineering department of Brown and I talked to every engineer that I could see. And I ended up talking to about 15 different engineers. And every person I spoke to told me this is a great idea, I don't have time to help you with this. It turns out that people who are like really skilled don't have a lot of spare time. They're either working on improving their skills, or they have a job, or they're working on their own idea. So they're not going to spend their time working on yours. So what I ended up doing is asking each person to give me the contact information and names of 2 other people that they thought could help me. And the 16th engineer I spoke to told me, you know what, I have a free weekend, sure, I can help you make a computer-aided model of your design. And that really got me going. I started working from that point on, and I just kept asking for help from more engineers and more designers, and went down to RISD and got help from people there to make it look sexy. And over time, I ended up with a product that was actually really great. And what I want to advocate here is, no is a good thing. For every 15 or 20 or 100 no's that you're going to get 1 yes. So it's important to love the word no. It's also important to really be excited when you talk to people about your idea. Skilled people won't have time to give to you. You have to make them want to make time. And to do that, you have to get people excited. So when I started working on Hero, which is an iPhone app, I sent the idea for it so all my friends who I knew could help me build this app through email. And then I asked everybody to come to a meeting with me, and then I just talked about my idea and got really excited about it and told people about it and listened to what they had to say. And people just kind of ended up getting swept up in this whole notion of let's build this thing and make it happen and help the world and improve something and potentially make a profit as we do it. And so the way to get skilled people to give you their time is to get them excited and to make them make time. Finally, I want to talk about resources. We're very fortunate to be in a situation in our lives where we have really smart people around us. So the best resource is really talking to other people that are around you, because again, they have a different perspective of life than you, and they have different skill sets than you do. The second resource that I highly advocate, especially if you're trying to build something that's technical, are hackathons. So hackathons are basically get-togethers where you have a bunch of people who either want to build something with CS or computer science, or want to build something physical, and you just try to prototype an idea over a 24-hour period. And I ended up going to about 8 different hackathons over the past year and a half, and leading a bunch of teams building products there. And it's an amazing environment, and you end up getting so much done. The other resource that I love are conferences. There's a really high smart person density in conferences, and a really high passionate person density in conferences. And what ends up happening when you're with these type of people is you get more ideas, you get more people who are excited about working on the things that you want to work on, and who inspire you with their ideas. And you end up also making connections that next time when you have an idea, you can reach out to this person and work with them as well. The other resource that I advocate taking advantage of in college are professors. There's professors who are experts in everything all around us. There's an engineering department, there's an art department, there's a biology department, a chemistry department. When I started working on the transdermal deliveries thing, I had no idea what that word meant. That it meant to rub things through your skin and make it permeate through. I just went and talked to professors, and they kind of put me on the right track. And they took time after class, and they explained the basic concept to me, and that's how I learned to work on it. And then I found other students who were studying in those classes, and they drove me even further in the right direction. So to conclude today, I want to advocate, first of all, when you're trying to come up with an idea, don't only judge the value that you're creating for yourself. Judge the value that you're creating for everybody else, particularly if this is something that you want to market to other people or sell to other people. And when comparing it to the amount of resources and time you need to put towards creating this device or this product. Secondly, always think, this sucks, how do I fix it? Talk to other people about your ideas. It'll also force you to make a mini commitment to doing that thing, and you'll be accountable over time and more likely to get it through. When you want to recruit people, get them excited enough that they're going to make time for your idea. And finally, take advantage of the resources around you and the incredibly intelligent and diverse people around you, because that's where the real ideas come from.